Hey guys, welcome to the live. Happy Sunday, everyone. Hey Linda, Santa, Megan, Eva, Tommy, Christine. Hi everyone. Marie, Jean. Jean says, can be outside today. You know what? I thought about going outside, but why? So yeah, no, I love being outside, but I just wanted to be as comfortable, my body to be as comfortable as possible so we could hang out and have fun together because that's what this is. Um, that's what this is all about. So is having fun. Valnick says hi. Uh, he's showing me to-do lists and he's showing me number one, have fun. That's always the top of our to-do list, yes. Uh, he says it's time to celebrate. He's showing me planet Earth and he's showing me fireworks again. And he's showing me everyone's hearts opening. He says he's pointing to a watch and he's saying time to come back to the heart. Yeah. Hey Nicole. Hi Andrew. Andrew's in Alaska. Hey, hi Judy. Hey guys, hi PJ. PJ's in Southern California. Hope everything is well with you there. So yeah, so let's get to our question. Yeah, so first of all, so let me take another drink. Okay, so first of all, every time I do a live or a session or anything with everyone, so take a deep breath. You just let everything that is not you. We can all do it together. It will be super fun because, well, why wouldn't it be, right? Uh, so everything that is not you, we put outside of you. Okay, so the ego, the chitter chatter box, that voice that is always saying you should do this, you should do that, you have to do this, you have to do that. No, we don't listen to that voice. So we put it all outside of us, right? So, and cut cords and ties with everyone and everything, and we go direct with our higher levels. So we bring our consciousness down. From most people, it is right in between the eyebrows, okay? And we bring it down into the heart. So, because we are the answer to our prayers. So our energy, so you're your own unique being, I'm my own unique being, okay? And together, so the thing about source or who we are is no being can take away from one another, okay? That's the ego's perception. I am being myself, you are being you, and then we just grow together and source and the love just grows. So we bring ourselves in, we go direct with our higher levels, and then I always ask all of our entourages to come together. And then because I'm the person on the screen, I'm obviously the speaker, right? So, hey Francis, hey Chris. Chris is in Ohio State. Nice. So, so wonderful. Hey Jenny, hi Lee. So yeah, so let's get to some questions. Tom says, does each soul vibrate at a unique frequency? What impact does this have on the collective? So I've talked about before how we try to use words, and really what words are labels trying to define things so that we can understand, or the mind can understand what it is, right? So yes, its own frequency, but in a bigger sense, we're all our own being, okay? So of course we are who we are. It's not necessarily about vibrating at a frequency, but really if you tuned into it, it's we're all singing our own song. So I sing my song, okay, and that's who I am, and you have your song, and then we come together, okay, and it's like an orchestra, okay, where there's harmony, okay? And So yes, and so what impacts does this have on the collective? So the question here is, are you singing your song? Or are you singing the song of the ego, which might not sound like an orchestra? So or mass consciousness. So that, to me, I don't tune into mass consciousness, or it doesn't sound, I don't enjoy the sound of it, so to speak. So that's really the question here. So if you're singing your own song, you're being who you are, what it does is people feel that love and they feel it within their hearts, and then their hearts open. Okay, so so for me, and it's not about what you say to people, it's not about what you do, it's just energy, right? So when I do the lives, it's really not about the words that I use, it's just about my presence. Okay, and the same goes for everyone else. So being who you are, it opens hearts. I've talked about this before. The ego, it's a different story. So the ego, it will not love you. It does not love itself. It doesn't know what love is. Okay, and so it'll throw its swords, but whatever, Hey, Heather. Hey, guys. So, Canada, South Florida. Uh, nice. Glenna says, what if someone sings your song out of tune? Well, that's beautiful. What's beautiful about your song is you're the only one who can sing it. So there's no competition, because it's a metaphor, okay? So only you can be you, only I can be me, and so therefore there's no competition in the universe. So competition, us, me versus you, us versus them, that comes from the ego brain. So, and it comes from the perception of lack and really not knowing who you are. Um, so that's why it's very important to encourage everyone to be who they are, and let your freak flag fly, man. I mean, what could be more fun than just not, so many people, okay, try to, I can hear Valnik coming in. Just let me get this one point across. So, uh, he says there's no competition and he's winking. Yes, of course. So, I just forgot what it was. What was I trying to say? So the thing about competition, I lost it. Let me get a drink. It'll come back to me. See, made me lose my train of thought. Okay, I'll let him go first. So he's showing me a picture, okay, and he is showing me humanity, one lined up next to the other, and there is a string of darkness. What it is the ego. It's mass consciousness, okay, and so each one has one piece of darkness just kind of stuck in their mind, okay, and then it all comes together in a conglomerate, like a cloud. Okay, so you have all these people and they're tuned in to mass consciousness. It's like a dark, dense cloud, and he's showing me the word judgment of the ego. He says, please explain. So I'll use my words. What he's trying to convey is, you have all of these people, okay, and this is the way it is for everybody until you decide to do something different, okay, or until you realize what's going on, is you have all of these people. Humanity perceives themselves to be the mind, okay, and then the mind is scanning, and it's scanning other people's thoughts, other people's egos, other people's ego projections, and giving energy to it, okay, and then you've created this cloud of judgment, this cloud of mass consciousness. And so when people are speaking, instead of singing their song and the mind's being the filter for their higher levels for who they are, they're actually, what they're doing is being the voice of mass consciousness, being the voice of their ego, but really it's a conglomerate of decisions that humanity has made. So, for example, there's maybe you take 100 people, right? Let's use social media for an example. So someone writes a post, okay, and most often it's not the authentic self talking, it's the voice of the ego. They post, okay, and then you have 2,000 people like it or give energy to it, and then they're thinking the same thought, and it's usually a post of judgment or a decision they've made, and then all of the people following, they say yes, that's true, and they and then they are well, that's where they get wrapped up in. So, and they don't have, the thing is when you look at those posts or mass consciousness, okay, it's, you don't have the power to make it true for everyone else by buying into it. You only have the power to make it true for you. Okay, so this will be very fun, but I can use myself as an example. So if someone writes a post, right, and they are like, Megan is an asshole, right? So they don't actually have the power to make that true of me. What they're doing when they're saying that, or when people agree to it, is they're only creating that energy for themselves, okay? So, and they're only bringing the darkness, the density into their own mind, and then that's where they're playing from. So, and it's an unconscious thing. Humanity doesn't realize they're doing it, and it's really Valnik says it is fear. He is going like this, and he wants me to discuss the mind. So yeah, so, well, I've talked about the mind before. The mind is a computer. It only knows an algorithm. It only knows what it's been taught. It cannot create outside of that. Okay, so it only knows what it's seen before, what it's heard before. And that's why it keeps, when humanity is stuck in the mind, that's why we keep creating the same thing over and over and over again. It might look, the costume, the character might look slightly different, but it's the same level of consciousness, and it's the same message. Okay, so so that's what we're evolving out of, and part of it is mass consciousness. And the first step to stepping out of mass consciousness, so many people think that the thoughts that they're having are theirs, and they're not. It's the cloud. It's the cloud that everyone has been plugged into. Okay, so not by any extraterrestrial being or anything. Remember, you are the creator of the universe, your reality. It's actually by you. So it's not, there's no being that can come and completely change your thought process, your level of awareness, basically the filter of how you see your reality, because you've created it for yourself. So why would they step in and change it for you, because you're the one choosing to do that? Because you're having fun with it, until you decide this is no longer fun, I want to know who I am, instead of being, really what he's describing is like an NPC, okay? And everyone is an NPC until you're not. So no one gets to be like, haha, like, you're stupid, I'm awake and you're not. Okay, that's how you know. That's how you know you're in the ego, right? So divine creation says, let my freak flag fly. I'm always letting my freak flag fly. That's like, say it like 10 times fast, right? So Valnik says, you are growing up, humanity is evolving, soon this will be no more. And he's showing the line of people that he showed me, and he's showing me someone opening their heart, and they're feeling the love, okay? And they can tell very well that the love is that they are is much different than the voice or the mass consciousness that they've bought into, that's going on in the mind, okay? And slowly but surely he's showing me them take a step back, okay? And then, of course, the darkness or the density gets smaller and smaller and smaller. And then you have one person being the unique love that they are. It's so beautiful. And then that, what happens is mass consciousness, there's less energy to it because there's one less creator buying into it, okay? And there's less power to it. So then one more person feels the love from that being, and they start to open their heart, and one by one the matrix dissolves, okay? So it's not uh some galactic extraterrestrial that came here and invented the matrix. We actually invented the matrix. We tried to put ourselves in all of those boxes, and then that's where you get mass consciousness and the judgment from everything, and the blah blah blah, and the you should do this and you have to do that, and that is no fun, man. I'm not doing that. So um uh let's see. Glennis says, lead with your heart and others will follow. Yeah, so let me get to more questions. The mind is a tool, okay, but it's not you. Okay, hold on, let me get to another question. Some people are asking, is it Trump just playing chess in regards to the recent Stargate AI, cancer, something, 500 billion news? Robert says, President Trump just announced a big undertaking into AI in the formation of a company named Stargate. What does the name Stargate convey for this endeavor? I can hear I can hear Valnak laughing. In the Stargate Disclosure series, mankind in the whole galaxy is facing the threat of a regressive AI species named replicators that eventually gets defeated. Does the name Stargate convey something in that regard, or in regards to the Stargate franchise in general? So Valnik is saying no. He says it is fiction. This is not TV. This is real life. And he's showing me taking the drama mask off, like that symbol, and taking it off his face, and he's smiling. So he's showing me television, and I'm just energetically reading his mind. So he's trying to say television is from the mind. Okay, so he's showing me television and it projecting fear outwards, and then people watching it and tuning into it. Okay, and it's fear based, of course, because it's based from the ego and from the mind, and then people creating that, and that's where you get the cloud of mass consciousness. Okay, so well, look at what we have here. So he says it is fiction, it is not real. Fear is not real, only in your mind. You create it. So he's just showing me a switch, and says turn it off. So, and that's a great point. So if you watch television, right, first of all, what you'll notice once you start to step out of mass consciousness, it's the same thing. So same story, so there's a villain, there's a savior, there's a victim, and you're not seeing it from the higher level perspective, or why that being is choosing that experience. You're only seeing it from that very limited perspective, through the identification of the body and the mind. Okay, so you're not it's so, and then of course, because the ego is very serious, okay, is everything to the ego is life or death. Okay, they have to, I mean, that is, it's not even like the screenwriters or the people who write these things, like, it's not even that they're coming from a bad place. It's just, this is where they're creating from, is the mind. And the mind is so used to picking up on the ego, and the ego is what? Full of fear. So in any sci-fi story, there's a villain. So, and yeah, so there's a lot of fear about AI. So Valnick says we are not messing around. We love humanity, uh, the best of the best. And he's showing hearts all around the planet. He's saying, remember who you are. You are not your mind. He wants me to discuss the fear of artificial intelligence. Okay, so and what's very fascinating to me, because I watch this, because that's really the root of the question, right? So, is it going to be like the movies where AI takes us over? And there's a serious question. So, how could AI take humanity over? So, and like that, I'm actually asking. So, how could it take us over? Because of course we've seen it in movies. It's kind of like something, you'll see a comment on the internet, and your mind just kind of runs with it. Oh my god. And then you have the cabal and blah blah blah, and there's mind control and blah blah blah. So you are not your mind, you are not your body. Okay, so when you decide to leave the body perishes, right? And so does the mind. It's like the computer that the body has. So how could AI take you over? So AI is man-made, you are eternal. It's a computer. It's like saying my iPhone is going to take me over. How? Only, so the thing is, it has happened in the past with humanity, okay? And I'll explain why. So, oh, now I can see the supervisor coming in. Okay. Valak says, speak your truth. He's clapping like this. So I'll explain why. So, because it's not, okay, the fear is not unfounded, okay? So, uh, it's not that AI took humanity over, and this was eons ago. So I don't even know how many years. I don't have a calendar on me, but but it's not that AI took humanity over. What happened is humanity totally bought into the perception that they are the mind. Okay, and they were, so this is in Atlantis. What happened was they were using technology, okay, and using technology to tune into things, and they thought or bought into the perception that they are the mind and that the way home is through the mind. Okay, so instead of raising your consciousness and welcoming your light into the body and coming into the heart to feel the love, because remember, the mind can't feel anything. It's the mind, it's a computer. So feeling the truth of who they are and expanding that way, they decided collectively, not everyone, but a large portion decided to go into the mind and try to find their way home there. And what happens when you try to find your way home through the mind is it's the same thing over and over and over again. Okay, and that's why the civilization, it's not that anything destroyed it, but what happened was humanity said we've gone so far into the mind that it's easier to start civilization all over again. Okay, and humanity, there was a tipping point, okay, before I was born in the 90s, great times. So before I was born, there was a tipping point where humanity collectively, not even, so not, I say humanity, but source, okay? Uh, and when you incarnate as a human, okay, there was a tipping point where there was a collective decision to be made. So are we going to come back to the heart, or are we going to try to continue to find our way home in the mind? Okay, because like I said, from ancient Egypt, all of that, it's the same thing, going into the mind. Okay, and humanity said, not this time, we're going to come back to the heart. Okay, and that's when and I can see Valnek fireworks, and he says the birth of a new era. He says a big celebration, we are so proud. And they're so happy. So and that's so he says uh he's saying there was never a war. The war was always within yourself, or really not even a war, but it's, are you going to be who you are or not? So, and humanity has said yes. And that's, he's showing me doors open and all the light flooding into the planet. And so we've made it past, way past that point. Okay. So, uh, so the thing is, I'm just going to finish my train of thought before Valnek pops in. The thing is, that's why it's so important to continue to be who you are, and look within and not look outside of yourself, and to know that you are not the body, you are not the mind, you are something much, 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 much bigger. Okay. So when you know who you are, nothing and no one can manipulate you, especially AI. I mean, AI does not know who the creator is. It can only understand limitations. It's an algorithm, it's a computer program. So 2 plus 2 equals 4. Okay, very simple. 4 plus 4 equals 8, I think. You know, just kidding. So, I have to laugh at myself. So, but you cannot be defined. Do you understand? So, that's why AI could never take you over. It's something that exists in a physical reality. You are a non-physical being. Okay. So so it's used. So just tuning into Valnek, he says AI is a tool, that is all, and he's showing a toolbox, and he's showing himself working on a ship with like a wrench. uh He says, I am not the wrench. I am using the wrench to fix the plane. Very simple. And he's underlining it. That's all that it is. So, but isn't it interesting? So, how everyone is so afraid of what other people think, what the mind, everyone's afraid of the mind because they perceive it to be controlling them. But what's happened is they're the ones actually giving the power to it. So it's an unconscious thing that we're doing. So uh Ellie says, so AI has no conscience. How would it have a conscience? So, and it depends on your definition of a conscience, right? So, for myself, okay, so I'm just walking through life, la la la, and and that's how I do it, by the way. So, uh, so so the thing is, so I'm so glad you asked that question. Genius question. Okay. So you're walking through life, right? And there's no right or wrong decision that you could make, right? It's just what it is, am I in alignment with my higher levels or not? Okay. And how we know whether we're in alignment with our higher levels. So is this a choice that would be in the best and highest good for me? How we know is we feel into our body. So, you know, we decide to go to a concert or take a new job or go out with a friend. The body feels very relaxed, it feels expanded, we're having fun. Okay, that's how I know I'm in alignment with my higher levels. Okay. And so, and then maybe a choice comes, okay, the ego starts to come in when there's something happens, okay, and the ego starts to say, you know, maybe you should just kill that person, maybe you should fight back or hit them or say something, or maybe you should take this route, or go, you know, do whatever. And you feel into your body, and what happens is the body locks up, it feels very constricting, and that's how you know, okay, this is not me, this is not in alignment with my higher levels. Okay. So, and that's, so how could AI do that? Because there's no light behind it. So there's literally nothing that gives it life. That's what's so funny about, we're the creators of the universe, and we're worried about a piece of plastic with a fake computer brain, made of metals and alloys overtaking us. So there's no life to it. So how could it have a conscience? There's no God in AI at all. So there's no source giving it life. Okay. If I leave my body, if I leave my body, I mean, my body dies, right? The mind dies. Okay. So take AI, a computer, there's no light in it to leave it in the first place. You literally can just unplug it from the wall. So, and it doesn't know who it is because there's no creator being inside it to even be conscious or ask that question. Do you understand? Like those thoughts. So not every thought is mass consciousness. Sometimes, that feeling inside of you, you have thoughts that are presented to you from your higher levels that are leading you to who you are. So there's no guidance system to AI to let it know, hey, this is off track. There's no end game. It's just programmed by a computer. So it's so Vanek, do you have anything to say about the Stargate, or anything like that? He says to be continued, ... He's showing me our book. He says we have discussed it before. He's showing me the words, the future of AI, artificial intelligence. He says there is nothing to fear. He says, remember who you are. He's showing me Donald Trump. He's showing me money. And he's also showing me, they're not extraterrestrials to me, but they're not from this planet, okay? And he's showing me Trump shaking their hands, and he says, a big deal. And he's winking. He says, there is nothing to fear. I'm just feeling into it. For myself, I don't feel anything that is not in the best and highest good about it. He's showing me computers, okay, and he's showing me different beings. He says an information source, that is all. More information to assist. He is not using words, but I'm just reading his mind and connecting with him. So this is something else that's funny. So the computer, any type of information does not know more than you, okay? Because you are the creator of the universe. So it can never, it's like trying to program a computer to know and understand the entire universe. Like I said, it will never happen because it doesn't have the understanding. It doesn't have the spark of life. Okay, so that's so that's all. And he's showing me fireworks, and he's showing me Donald Trump, and he says this is huge. And he's showing me the stars, and then he's showing me ships going into the stars. He says to be continued, and then he's going like this. So whatever. So we'll see how it goes. So Vanlink says we have a message. He's showing me the supervisor. He's showing me planet Earth, and then he's showing me another Earth here, and then he's showing me another Earth here, and he says past, present, future. He's showing everyone cutting cords with the past, and then that opens the door to the future. He's showing me the energy cords. So like I said, all of this stuff, we're actually, the old paradigm humanity is still creating because we're creating from the mind and the perception of the ego. He says very important. He's showing me an hourglass with sand over it, and he's turning it over. He's saying there's no time like the present, and he's winking. He says, look within. This is the way home. Says back to the heart. Uh, yeah. And then he's just saying the birth of a new era. But what else? They're going to try to find the best way to explain it to me. So because my mind can only hold so much bandwidth. Um, so anyways, so let me take more questions while they have a chat. You know, it's so fascinating when you look into the subconscious. So, you know, yes, I'm talking and everyone's tuning into the live, but this is an experiential thing. So it's not, yes, we can listen to my live and stuff, but unless we actually look within, then we won't really, it's not that we won't get anywhere. It's just that there's so much more to be discovered in yourself and through yourself and as yourself than just listening. You know, I don't want people to take my word for it. I want you to experience it yourself. So it's so fascinating when you actually get into the subconscious and start looking at those pieces of yourself, okay? All of those constructs that you bought into over the span of all of your incarnations, you can really see how where you are right now in life, okay, how that all plays a part. So what the supervisor what the supervisor and I especially do is we read the akashic records, and it's not about identifying, saying, okay, you were Cleopatra or you were a king here or whatever. It's about what perception did you buy into, okay, that is no longer serving you, that you came here to transcend again, and uh then we assist from there. So it's actually about rewriting the story in the akashic records, and then what happens is you change the past, and that obviously changes the future. So, and he doesn't know time. So the supervisor, none of us know time, okay, but the supervisor especially does not know time, especially in well, yeah, so I'll just put it that way. So hey, Blue Flyer. Hi, Patricia. Sunflower says, I heard the med beds are MRI machines turned to a good frequency. What do you think, Megan? Have you ever had an MRI or have you ever had an MRI or seen one done? So how could you even if med beds are anything like an MRI, I'm not getting in one. Uh, so no, so I don't. I have a medical background, so to me, it's the way that an MRI works is much different, a much different kind of technology than what the med beds actually are. Okay, and I've discussed the med beds before. Yes, med beds, okay, are. Do you remember like a few lives ago when this may have been like a few months ago, but when my entourage, I don't know who said it, but they were talking about how DNA, so the DNA doesn't enlighten us. We are the light in the body, so we enlighten the DNA. Okay. So what heals the body actually? So the body is our vessel, and it's always trying to make and recreate itself in our likeness and image. Okay. So my body is doing that for me. Your body is doing that for you, and it's unique to you. So the way to assist the body is actually to transcend the ego, okay, and all of those perceptions, all of the density, letting go of all of the places where you are not, and bringing your higher levels, the part of you that's not in the body, actually into the body. And then the body the DNA becomes enlightened, okay? And then it starts to make and recreate itself in the likeness and image of you. Not in the likeness and image of mass consciousness or the ego or other people, okay? That's actually where viruses, parasites, cancers grow. It's where you are not, okay? So the way to remedy that is not through a med bed, because the med bed cannot bring your light. You are the creator. It cannot bring your light into the body. Okay, so it cannot fill those places within yourself where you have yet to grow, yet to expand. Okay, so they are again a tool, but they cannot replace your higher levels. So what could be more powerful than your higher levels? Because the body is responding to you, the frequency, the energy that gives the body life. And it's always the DNA is responding to you. So you could go into a med bed, right? And it could give you a little tune-up, high frequency, however the technology works. You know, I'm not a scientist or an engineer making it. Maybe I am. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not. But um uh so I'm not really. But so how could a med bed work better than you can? So you can go into a med bed, right? And yes, it will happen for humanity, but I just want to make bring this to light. So you sit in it, it gives you a little tune up, but what happens is you leave the med bed and the disease or whatever you were trying to transcend has a high likelihood of coming back because you're the one creating it for yourself. Okay. And that's so and that's where humanity, so we are growing, right? And we're remembering who we are. And yes, that will be there to assist us side by side, like as a tool. But it is, med beds are not God and they cannot fix things for us. It's the other way around. Does that make sense? So, oh my gosh, I remember, I think during one of the lives, Valnak was like the religion of med beds, right? So many believe or it's not, no one's doing it on purpose, right? So there's an idea that med beds are going to be released and then we're going to be saved, okay? And it's really actually we are our own saviors. So there was something else I was going to say in regards to that. I don't remember. I lost it. So hey Connie, I love your hair. So so yeah, that's my thought on that. And it's he says, Valnik says med beds will come. He's showing a timeline, okay? So he's showing me years, okay? And he says he's showing me Donald Trump, and he's showing me like 20, you know, it's going into our time zone or our time frame, right? And it just depends on he says a series of events, current events. It is a plan. It is not set in stone, the exact date. He says, please be patient. He says, as Megan says, you have the power. Look within. Yeah, so, and it's very, it's almost, he's showing me a crowd of people and then like a med bed being dangled over them, and then he's showing people grasping at the med bed, and he wants me to explain what that means energetically. And what he's trying to say is the more that you grasp onto something, the more you push it away from yourself. So have you ever really like really wanted something and then it doesn't happen because you push and push and push it away? So the more humanity grasps onto something outside of them, the longer all of these beautiful things that we're waiting for to happen in the external reality, the longer it will take. because we're actually the ones driving the ship, and we're saying we don't want all these things until we're ready, until we come back to the heart, and until we know who we are. It's not the white hats deciding or the Galactic Federation. They are light within the body, we're light within the body, and on a higher level, we're all deciding together. So it's not, there's a perception that the white hats or the Federation or whoever are mom and dad, and they're deciding when you grow up, you can get your driver's license. No. They see us for who we are, the divine creators that we are, and the door will not open until we command it to open, until we realize who we are. So, and that means not grasping for anything outside of us. So, for myself, like I've discussed this a few years ago, and it was, I don't know, somewhere 2020 on, I just decided I'm going to wake up all the way. Okay. I'm not going to wait for Trump to get reelected or for the aliens to come. I want to know who I am. I don't, all of that. I promise you, it's so much more exciting to find out who you are. All of that looks very, very, very small, like honestly, a speck of sand. Okay. And I mean, what could be more exciting than experiencing yourself in a physical reality? And that's where and I know so many are watching this and they are not really sure of what direction to take and feeling very lost and feeling alone. And yes, I have been there too. Okay. And I'm telling you, it does get better. Okay. But the answer is not outside of you. The answer is within you. And if you just hold out your hand, then there is going to be a hand, you know, holding itself back at you to assist you. Okay. But you have to make that first step to assist yourself. Okay. Because these beings, they see you for who you are. So they're not going to go against your will if you're saying, no, I want to hang on to my ego. Does that make sense? So, and there's also a perception, okay? Megan has alien contact, so that makes everything easier for her. And that's why she's so awake. Au contraire. So they don't make my life easier for the ego the way that the ego wants it. It's actually much, 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 much harder. Okay. And so what would happen is if, so their energy field, so take away the body of the extraterrestrials, okay, but just the love that they are, what would happen, so and what would, yeah, so what does happen, okay, is the love that they are, okay, is completely, yeah, it's love, okay, and like we've explained this, the humanity starts feeling the love within them, and everything that they are not starts to be pushed outward. Okay, of course you can go with your ego and leave the body and maybe come back in a different one because it might be harder or easier, but what will happen if you decide to open your heart is everything that you are not starts to get pushed to the surface, and the ego goes nuts, it goes crazy. Okay, so and that's a good thing because that's what you want, but it doesn't make it, the love that they are, don't make it easier for that experience. They're there to support, but you are walking your walk and talking your talk, and yeah, that's what it is. So uh um so anyways, so thanks, Doug. um Hi, Pekka. So that's what it is. So and everyone has their entourage assisting them. So the physical connection is very superficial, okay, because it's just the body, and they are not their bodies, and neither are you. So it's really it's mass consciousness, but there's a perception of what aliens are, what UFO, like the whole thing, the UFO community, it's actually a human construct. The way it's, well, there's nothing else like it on any other planet. It's fascinating. So um Heather, love Heather. Heather says, I can confirm the ego does go crazy. That's why you have to laugh at it. So I love laughing at my ego. Someone asked a question, so they, um, oh my God, this is gonna be so funny. um, yeah, we can laugh at my ego. Hold on. Someone asked me, you've mentioned in the past your fantastic ego. Any fun Megan stories to share? I think we'd find it inspiring. Yeah, so with Ruffin, like I've talked about how Ruffin, my love, is he's there to assist me back to the heart, right? And he has. He's done a wonderful job. And when he was oh my God, like nothing, I can't think of anything that's triggered me more than the Ruffin situation. So because Ruffin and I are so close, and I can get on any horse and not really be nervous. Yeah, I would put it that way. Like when I fell off of Ruffin, my best friend, she's like, ride my half Arab, you'll get your confidence back. And this is the hottest horse in the barn. Okay. Her name's Bailey. So, the hottest horse I've actually ever met. And, but she didn't make me nervous at all. I was just like, me and Bailey, we're getting on. It's, it's great. She's much hotter than Ruffin, actually way harder to ride. But the thing with me and Ruffin is we're so close that we feed off of each other. So, and I haven't had another connection with another horse quite like that. Um, but so, what was I saying? So I stopped riding him because he was ready to be retired. This was probably over a year ago. But everyone else, because Ruffin's a big fancy dressage horse, we need to keep him going. We're going to have him recover from this injury. And I'm just like, that's, no, he's done whatever. And of course, everyone's like, Megan, you're so stupid. You don't know what you're talking about. And then there's me, and my ego is getting triggered so bad because someone called Ruffin lazy. They were like, he's just lazy. He doesn't want to do the work. And oh my gosh, my ego lost its mind. I was like, you're lucky. I didn't say this, but I was like, you're lucky to even be in the same room with him. You're lucky to even be breathing the same air. I was so, and the same thing with Valnick, he would say, Ruffin is not a safe horse to ride, but you do what you want. Like, I support you. And I'm like, you're crazy. Like, you don't even know what you're talking about. What do you know? And then, when we got x-rays of Ruffin's neck and it showed an old neck injury and he was being so neurologic, I was like, oh, Valnick was right. He did have my best and highest interest, and so did my higher levels too, which I was tuning out of and I knew something was off the whole time, but I just didn't want to see it. So, so hilarious. Oh yeah, I was gonna go to war over Ruffin. Like it was over. Someone called him lazy. I was like, he's only gotten this far in his career because he has I was just going off in my head. I didn't say it out loud. I just left the situation, but oh yeah, me and Ruffino. Ruffin. So he is gonna come into the session now. Valnick says, he says, I support Megan, I support Ruffin. They are a great team, and he's winking. Yes, we are. So thank you for that. So let me just see any more questions. Someone's asking about twin flames. The thing is, so let me get a drink. The thing about twin flames, it's an ego construct, okay? So it's the perception of lack. So first of all, there's the identification of the body. So if you're in a female body, you perceive yourself to be a woman. If you're in a male body, you perceive yourself to be a man, okay? And there's a perception that there's another being that is there to complete you, okay, to fill the hole within your heart, and you fill the hole within theirs. And it's a perception of lack because each being is whole and complete within themselves. Okay, so no other being can walk your walk or talk your talk for you. You have to do it yourself and fill your own heart with your love, and then you have the love that you are to share with that partner. Okay, so, and it is, there is, you can have a, and it is, you can have a very, very, very deep, deep, deep connection with another being. Okay, it's just not through the understanding of the mind or of the brain, where it's a perception of lack. Okay, so, and I know it's hard for everyone to, might be hard for many people to understand, because humanity has made so many games of men, women, and what it's like to be in a relationship. And I said this in the last live, or maybe one before that. So it's not about needing someone to complete you, because then that's a condition, okay? And that's not unconditional love. That's conditional love, which is not love at all, okay? So you have, instead of, you have two people that need the other person to fit into their box, okay, the ego's box. You have two beings that are whole and complete within themselves, and they're sharing the love that they are with each other, and then the spiral upward and the love grows, okay? So, and you are love and I am love, and of course we love everyone, okay? And then there's those beings that we have a deep, 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 deep heart connection with. So it's just that the identification of the mind and the body does not limit, does not define the connection. It does not limit the connection, because the connection is actually unlimited, because you are unlimited. So that's the best way I can describe it. So yeah, so anywho, he's showing, Valnik is showing the supervisor, and he's showing him observing. He says not just planet Terra, everyone, every being. He's saying this is what he loves to do. So, honestly, it's really hard. So this person was asking about what I wrote in my book about the supervisor. And it's hard for me to put it into words, okay? But he is there. I can't put it into words. So, so energetically, what we'll do is we'll just energetically send the message out. So, because it's beyond, to be honest, I can feel it, like I know it in my body, but I don't have words to describe it, because it's beyond the mind's understanding. See, the mind can only understand so much. So it's really, it's from a very high level. And well, he loves to assist beings back to the heart. It's Valence says you are doing wonderful. No words needed, and he's winking again. Yeah, so we'll just leave it at that. So he basically, he looks at things from a very high level, right? From the akashic records standpoint, and where that being is, what would be in the best. See, it's not from a physical viewpoint, which is why I'm having trouble explaining it, but really assisting that being in where they would like to go, and presenting them, especially, so yeah, Valnik's saying speak from your point of view. So the supervisor for me, he is part of my entourage, and he presents me with opportunities, okay? He goes out and finds opportunities and brings them to me and says, am I going to, well, am I ready for this? Am I going to open my heart more and more, or not? So that's part of what he does, okay? Valnik says, for me too, in the physical, and he's underlining that. So yeah, so he's, yeah, anyways, he's part of my entourage. Valnik says that I can be hard-headed sometimes. I know, when I was tuning into the supervisor, I know I've said no to some things in the past. That's okay. Someone says, what are the Akashic records, question mark. So it's a consciousness, okay? It's not a actual, so you may have heard some channelers or psychics or whoever talk about it being a library, okay? And it is in a sense, but it's not a physical library. It's just the record of all your incarnations, okay? And it's stored, uh, well, it's stored within the collective consciousness, okay, and it's also it's in a sense stored within, not really within your energy field, okay, but it's connected to you. It's not within you, it's just uh connected to you in a sense, okay? So just and specifically what we're talking about here is the incarnations where you didn't transcend something, okay? So what happens is you leave the body, okay, and then you come back into this lifetime and present day, the lifetime you are now. And what it is it's within the ego and it's within the subconscious, you trying to work out something that you didn't work out in the past, okay? So what the supervisor does with me and what we do in sessions with people is we bring that to the forefront, bring it to the forefront and take a look at it. So, and it's really, why are you doing what you're doing? And there's always a root cause to it. So, uh, yeah. So, why do you keep going into relationships with a certain outlook? Why are you thinking about this? Why is this happening? And it has to do with past lifetimes and also stuff that you bought into in childhood. So, and it's obviously it's not a physical reality, okay? But there's still a part of you that bought into it, a part of your consciousness that bought into it that is keeping it alive. Not physically alive, but energetically alive. And that's why they show me the picture where undoing the ties to the past, it's not a physical thing, it's an energetic thing. So, and the only way to do that is to come back to the heart. So, out of the ego, where you bought into an ego construct, and coming back to yourself. So, that's part of what the supervisor does in a very elementary way. Because when I tune into it, it's much more than the mind can explain. So he is there, so he is extending his hands to assist others, okay, whether it's through me or not, because he has many friends, of course, so I can tune into. He has many friends, okay, that are there. Actually, he's showing me the United States, Canada. He's showing me all of the countries and the continents, okay, and lights growing bigger and bigger and bigger, and there's so many hands extending their hands out. Valnik says the best entourage, the best of the best. So we all have the best entourage. So yeah, that option is not just available to me, it's available to everyone if you're willing to put out your hand and make the first step. So hey Taurus girl. uh Andres says, Megan, it's good to say no sometimes. Good on you. Yeah, well, coming back to the heart does not mean, this is important, that you're a doormat. Okay, so it doesn't mean that you're just like, I love everyone, so I'm just gonna say yes to everything and do whatever everyone wants me to do, and let people walk all over me. Perhaps not. Perhaps not. So it actually means the opposite. It means that you are standing within your own power, within your own integrity, and that means that more often than not, you actually say no, then you will say yes. So, yeah. So it doesn't mean. So when I say, when you fight something, okay, so all of the perceptions of fighting the cabal, what you're doing is, or whoever, you're actually agreeing that you're giving power, that they have power over you, and by fighting, you're energetically fueling the fire, so you're continuing it onward. So when I say to stop fighting, or it might be beneficial to stop fighting, it doesn't mean you say, okay, you win, you can do whatever you want. It just means I'm not buying into it. I'm not giving it any energy, and you have no power over me, so I'm not playing your game. And then guess what? They have to play the game by themselves. And and then they have to take accountability for themselves, because there's actually no one to fight with anymore. And that's the way of the heart. It doesn't mean that you lay on the ground, and just let people walk over you. So um someone says, Lee Tate, if you come here with a contract to be gay, can you change that contract to be straight, or is that another lifetime contract? So let me get a drink. Wonderful question. So with humanity, it's not being gay or straight. What do you think I'm going to say is actually an identity of the ego. Okay, so the body has a preference, in a sense, okay, of what gender it prefers, okay, but you are not your body. So the body might be gay or the body might be straight, but you are not, okay. And then of course the beloved of the heart, okay, the one, not the one, but the partner, or the beloved, okay, is going to present in that gender as well. It's an agreement that your higher levels make, not the same gender, but the gender that corresponds with what corresponds with your body, okay. So it's actually a choice that you make before you come here. And why would you want to change it? So if you if your body, or you're attracted to men and you're a man, or if you're attracted to women and you're a woman, so what is wrong with that? So where is the judgment in that? And many times, so there's many that have had that experience and they've transcended it, okay. So, and then there's many that in the subconscious there's judgment about it. So a lot of stuff from religion and all of that. So let's just play a game for a second, a fun game. So it doesn't matter what gender, but because the body has a gender. There's only two. So, but you are not your body, right? So take away, so you have two beings that love each other. So male, female, male, male, woman, woman, okay? Doesn't matter, okay? Take away the bodies, and what do you have? You have love. So it's not about the so it's not about the gender. See, a lot of this comes from the identification of the body. It's about the love that you are, okay, and not the love that you have for others. So it's just that so there's so much judgment of what the right way to do it is, the wrong way. Okay, you should date this person, you should date that person. That's all the subconscious, and that's judgment. So you actually came in here to transcend it. And there is no, so the idea of a contract, so it would be a contract with yourself, right? So, and you made that contract for a reason, and actually it's not really a contract, it's something that you chose to experience. So, and any judgment around it is, that's all it is. It's just judgment. It's just it's just a chatterbox. So, like I said, let your freak flag fly, And if others don't like it, and if others have a problem with it, that's their judgment. And that's totally their problem. And it's all about them and has nothing to do with you, So, so just, what do you enjoy, and then do that. And it's not, so the thing is, it's the ego might enjoy something because of mass consciousness, or it bought into something, okay, or you bought into something. So there's what the ego, mass consciousness, and all of that enjoys, but then there's actually what you enjoy. And that's what we're here to discover, is what we enjoy as ourself and in ourself and through ourself, and not do we enjoy it because we're trying to wear a mask to impress other people, or trying to adhere to an ego construct that we are not? Does that make sense? So, Phalix says, I have a message. He's saying the best is yet to come. He's showing me ships and spaceships, and he's showing them going off into the stars, and he says endless possibilities. Uh, he's showing all of humanity opening their hearts, and he says we are Terran support. We are here to assist. He says not here to save. That is what we love to do, and he's holding his hand out. So with that, I'm going to end. So I had so much fun. So yeah, and more fun to come, more fun to be had. So because that's what life and living is all about, is having fun. It's not about this serious, okay, it's very serious to the ego life. But nothing is to be taken seriously, okay? Because our nature is not very serious. So I love you guys, and we'll be back with more lives.